Okay. Are we live? What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Man, do you think we're possibly going to see Ezekiel 14:2? I'm sorry. I keep thinking Ezekiel. It's Zechariah 14:2. Is it possible we're going to see Zechariah 14:2? Actually, can we put that on the screen right now while we're getting started so everyone can see exactly what we're talking about? Now, it's quite possible that we are at this point right now. We can't say that we're not, and we can't really say that we are, but man, things are getting heated up. Things are getting crazier and crazier by the second. So much has happened. So much is happening. You want to read this, Shannon?
Yeah. It says, a day of the Lord is coming when your plunder will be divided among you. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped.
Wow. So this is the reason why I'm asking, do you think that this is Zechariah 14:2? Do you think it's coming to fruition? I mean, everything that we're saying now, granted, this stuff has happened in the past. Stuff like this has been going on for years and years and years. But the only reason why I make the connection because of everything that follows along with what we're seeing right now. I mean, all of this crazy stuff. And I've been talking about this crazy stuff for the longest now, and we're seeing more and more and more of it. I truly believe that we are living in the last days. People, Israel said that they're not going to stop. They're going all in. It's to the point Joe Biden can't even convince them to back off and allow the Hamas to go ahead and continue to go into Israel and do whatever it is that they want to do. There's been video footage that I can't show you. And if y'all go over to X, it is horrific. Some of the stuff that's been happening, the destruction. This is not a time for people to be angry with one another. And it's, what's really amazing to me is that I'm seeing people sending me messages angry with me because I stand with Israel. But I'm like, well, and I asked the question, well, are you a Christian? And see, it's really starting to show who the weeds are. The weeds are being separated right now. There's a lot of people right now that don't like Israel. They hate Israel. They believe Israel's in the wrong for defending themselves. And let me remind everybody, Israel didn't start this. Israel's not the one that went in and made this happen. I mean, I think everyone will agree to that. See, there's a lot of people on the left, especially the left. And I got something tonight I want to share with y'all because the left is completely stupid. I mean, beyond stupid. But there's this typical, or not typical, but there's this certain kind of hatred that people have. And it shouldn't be happening. I'm a Christian and I'm going to stick to God's word. And I know what God's word says about Israel. And you may not like me for it. You may dislike me. You may not like the fact that, I'm believing in God. And you know what? This is also going to show who's actually Christians, who actually believe in God's word and who doesn't. I mean, we're seeing it happen right now, big as day. Let me share something with you. This is someone that was in the press conference today. This was today, correct, Shannon?
Yes.
This was the press conference today. Someone was asking Karine Jean-Pierre a question, or wanted to ask Karine Jean-Pierre a question, but she refused to allow this person to ask her a question. And the only reason why she doesn't want anyone to ask her questions is because she doesn't want to have to answer tough questions. This person, the Washington Post, has been in there for 2 seasons now, and he's been trying to get an edgewise, trying to ask a question, and she would not allow him to ask a question. There's only one reason why she will not allow him to ask a question. I don't ever think this was ever happened under President Trump. Did this happen with Kelly McEnany? Did this happen with Sarah Huckabee? Did this happen with Spencer? Did this happen with anybody else before her? I mean, be honest with you, I can't even remember Jen Psaki. Sock it to you, sock it to me. I don't even recall her not calling on somebody, right? This one here, this is the most idiotic, dumbest person to ever stand behind that podium. I could do a better job, and I mess up people's names all the time. but I could still do a better job. She says she wakes up at 4:30 in the morning to get ready for the day, to answer questions, but she never answers any questions. It's a really short clip. I just want to share this with you because I'm only imagine that the gentleman from the Washington Post was going to ask her a question about what's happening over in Israel.
All right, you haven't called on me in 2 seasons, Kareem.
And not calling on you today. Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead, sir.
You should be ashamed of that.
Go ahead.
That shows disrespect to a free and independent media. It's blackness, one of our country's largest and most widely read newspapers, Kareem. That shows contempt for a free and independent press.
Go ahead. I'm calling on somebody who I haven't called in a long time as well. Go ahead.
I mean, what happened to the freedom of the press? How despicable is this? How despicable is that? The world is on the verge of World War III, and you won't even take a simple question? Isn't that your job? She's not good at her job. Well, here's somebody else that's not good at their job. Y'all remember what happened with Afghanistan when Joe Biden decided to pull out? They left Americans. Americans died. Now we got Americans up to now. The last time I seen the report was up to 22 people have passed away, Afghanistan in Israel, in the Gaza Strip. 22 Americans and 17 held hostage. I mean, isn't that enough for you to freeze the money that's going to Iran, because Iran is funding all of this, right? Well, Joe Biden, he allowed it to be funded. But isn't that enough of a reason? Americans are being killed. Americans are being held hostage. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe the Iranians are going to say, look, give us 20 billion and then we'll release the ones that we didn't kill and the ones that we still have. Give us 20 billion, Biden. And just like Obama, Biden probably like, okay, yeah, we'll give you 20 billion. We'll fly it in on the tarmac in the middle of the night. Hopefully no one will see it. They probably done it multiple times. Listen to this.
Peter.
Congressman Lawler just said on TV that they're expecting an announcement within 24 hours about an airlift to the U.S. citizens. Can you tell us anything about that?
I don't have any details for you on that. I would just tell you, Peter, that we're in State Department is in active touch with American citizens in Israel. Many of them, as you well know, are dual nationals, to try to make sure that A, we've got the connection, and B, that we know if they have any concerns, like in the case that they want to leave. So we're in active conversations with Americans on the ground there, and we want to make sure. Right now, there are still commercial carriers, not all.
Now, are you hearing this? Are you hearing this? It's almost like he wasn't even prepared to come up here and ask to answer these questions. It's almost like he wasn't. Don't you think that everyone in the press corps is going to ask you, look, Americans are dying, people. Americans are dying. Americans are dying. And then guess what happened? Y'all saw what happened in Afghanistan. And then they started having little hearings here and there about it, about the debacle that happened in Afghanistan. But look at this. I mean, they're probably, in Afghanistan, they're never been allies, to my understanding, of America. Israel is an ally. So they're going to be like, look, if you can, just, probably drive out of the country, get on a vehicle and drive out, because you can at least do that. Because it sounds like he says, look, you got to make your own way. You got to make your own way. I actually heard, I'm going to tell you about a story that I actually heard about someone here in the United States of America I'm just going to go ahead and tell it, paying for trips for people to fly back to Israel that are Israeli, that are Jewish. They showed up at the airport. He said if they had a particular card, he paid for their flight back.
Yeah, if they were part of
these people won't even pay for Americans to get out.
If they were part of the military,
yeah,
this guy was from Israel, and so they showed their ID card. They call people and say, hey, listen, if you can come, it's voluntary. If you're part of the Israel Reserve and you're here in America, you don't have to come, but they want you to come. So he said, hey, listen, everybody that has ID card and wants to go, I'll pay for your plane ticket. And he paid for 250 airplane tickets.
Wow.
For them to go back and join the fight.
That's amazing. Okay, listen to the rest of this, because he's literally telling people, get in the vehicle and drive away.
There are still commercial carriers, not all, some, flying in and out of Ben Gurion every day. There are still now viable ground routes if you wanted to leave safely out of Israel, that is also an option to you. But neither of those options may necessarily be feasible or affordable to certain Americans. And so we are exploring actively a range of other options to assist if Americans want to leave. I'm just not at liberty now to go into more detail about that.
So let's just think about that real quick. If Americans that are in Israel right now and they get in a vehicle and they leave, there's technically only one direction they can go, and that would be towards Egypt. That would be towards Egypt. That's the only way they can go, because they really can't go, to Libya, because look what Libya's doing. Libya is shooting rockets into Israel now. Lebanon is shooting rockets into Israel right now, and that's north of Israel.
And then you have Syria.
And then you have Syria. You can't go to Syria. And then you got Iraq. And beyond that, you have Iran. You can't drive that way. And then below that, you have Kuwait. You can't drive that way. So your only option is probably try to drive to Egypt. But it's going to be terrible going that way, because Muslims control just about everything. Yeah. I mean, you're SOL. That's what he's basically saying, that you're a SOL if you think that you're going to be able to go out this way. Too bad for you. Sucks for you. Look how they did Americans in Afghanistan, people. Really? And we're supposed to take his word for it?
That's what I was just going to say. I mean, if I was an American there, I wouldn't feel very comfortable. However, we did have a friend there, or is there right now, and they said that the Israeli government is doing everything they can to get them out. And Will, I didn't even know this, but they have, what is it, LNL is like their airline that they use. And anyways, their airplanes have the ability, and these are for people, this is the commercial, that deflect missiles, which I thought was, but it's a way of life for them, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, the American airlines, they're not equipped like that. So it's interesting.
It's really interesting. Okay, now let me play some of this. I wasn't going to play it, but I want you to hear what Joe Biden said earlier. And my concern is about, because Joe Biden, he's really, my honest opinion, he's not for Israel. He's only doing this because he's funding both sides of the war. Y'all understand that he funded Iran, and look what's happening, right? And he said, but we're going to stick with Israel. It's like doing it right in front of our faces. Like don't even pay attention to it. Doing it right in front of our faces. Listen to what Joe Biden says here. This was from earlier today.
The rules of war, and there are rules of war. And I believe Israel is doing everything in its power to pull the country together, stay on the same page, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure Israel succeed, and God willing, to bring home those Americans who are in harm's way. I'm going to let you all have the private conversation you've been having, which you should continue to have. But I just came to basically, I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I give you my word as a Biden. Thank you.
Okay, that's where I want to stop at it, right there. He says he give his word as a Biden. You can get him off the screen. He said he gives his word as a Biden. Can y'all leave me a comment and tell me how valid his word is? I mean, how valid is his word? I'm just asking the question here. I don't trust anything that Joe Biden says. And there was no one in the room to ask him questions about, why are you funding this war? Why did you release the $6 billion on September 11th of 2023? Why did you do that? I mean, think about that, everybody. Just think about that really quick. They release all of that money, and then this starts happening. Is it just a coincidence? And then they keep saying, well, they don't actually have the money. And they said what it did was they got the $6 billion and it freed up for them to do whatever else that they wanted to do. Well, if they don't actually have the money, why aren't they freezing it? Listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, where he's actually saying that, look, we're not going to back down. We're going in because they've had it. This is enough. This is the reason why I believe that it's going to escalate to Zechariah 14. I believe that it's escalating to that right now. It's happening. It's not even escalating. I believe it's actually happening, and more of it's going to come because there's going to be a turn. Hear me now, believe me later on. There's going to be a turn of what's going to happen.
And
what's
just so
going to take
people
place.
know, today, their day, which was yesterday, Netanyahu actually sent about 10,000 troops to the border of Lebanon because of them shooting that way. So at this point, they're concerned that there's going to be 3 different people that they're battling on 3 different
fronts.
Fronts, yeah.
Listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, everybody. And you know what? Let me say this. Listen, then I'll say it. Listen.
The unity among our nation in times of sorrow, it breaks beyond our boundaries and it reaches the whole world. We saw it yesterday in the important and moving speech of President Biden. I spoke with him today for the 4th time. For the 4th time since this war broke out, we have unprecedented international support for Israel, and this is a critical component for this ongoing battle and warfare.
Let me stop it right there real quick. You hearing what he's saying, right? So he said he talked to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is giving him support. There's already an aircraft carrier on the way, if it's not there already. Him saying this, I truly believe now, and this is one thing I pray that I'm wrong. I got my shirt on, pray. I pray that I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. Because what he just said, this is going to cause all of the people that cross over the southern border of the United States of America, the terrorists that Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed to cross. I believe that they're going to start doing stuff here in America. Now, I hope that's not the case. I pray that I'm wrong. But there's a reason why they had the borders wide open. And if you've been watching me long enough, you've been seeing me say that the reason why the borders open is because they're importing their army. How many other people have you heard say that? I've been saying that before the war popped off. I said they're importing their army right now. The Democrats are on our southern border. They have to have somebody to come in and go against the American people. It's not going to be the American people doing it. I mean, we may dislike liberals and progressives all that much, but we're not conservative Christians, Republicans. They're not going to go out and start being violent towards them. Think about what I'm saying. They have political prisoners locked up right now, and conservative Christian Republicans, no one rioted over that. If it was the other way around and they had Democrats that were political prisoners, there would be rioting in the street. They would be tearing stuff up. They would be burning buildings down. They would be locking people in federal buildings again and trying to set the building on fire. You understand what I'm telling you? If President Trump had political prisoners locked up, they will be rioting throughout the country. But this is just the opposite. Because, see, we as conservative Christians, we truly know who the real enemy is. And it's not the people that's been deceived. We truly know that. That's the reason why we're not violent towards them. They would like for us to be violent so that then that way they can have videos. But what Benjamin Netanyahu is saying here, the army that the Democrats have imported into this country, based on what he's saying in this video, listen, I believe that they're going to react to it. I pray that I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong.
Aircrafts are on their way here, and a lot of ammunition is coming to Israel and will be arriving at Israel. And it's important. We are fighting in full force in all theaters. Now we are on the offensive. Every Hamas operative will die. Hamas is ISIS. We will crush them and get rid of them, just as the world crushed and got rid of ISIS. I would like to strengthen our combatants, all the people in our security forces and relief and rescue forces. The entire people of Israel are behind you. And I would like to say to you, citizens of Israel, and I'm saying here to my friends, and I'm saying this to all of you, the words of the prophet Isaiah, we will all help out each other. Am Israel Chai, and together we shall win.
and together we shall win. You know what? I stand with Israel. And let me be clear about something. This is what I was going to tell you when I held off on it. And I had to explain this multiple times because it's like it goes in one ear and out the other ear on a lot of people that have so much hatred in them. They talk about the music industry. They talk about the movie industry. They talk about certain people in the higher up controlling stuff. Did you know that they were liberal? Did you know that they were liberal? Did you hear what I'm telling you? See, when I used to work IT, and I remember going to an IT conference in Vegas, of all places. I hate Vegas, to be honest with you. You know, maybe y'all love Vegas. Some people love Vegas. I hated Vegas. I've never been to Vegas and had a really exciting time. But I went there one time because it was a IT conference. And when I was at this IT conference, people from all around the world, Russians, Jamaicans, Africans, even people from Muslim countries, and even from Israel. I'll never forget it. I met this guy, and I didn't even care where he was from. We were hanging out. Because we make connections and talking to people, different stuff, because it's all geek talk. It wasn't even about political. This is before I picked up the first camera and started talking about politics and religion. And I'm talking to this gentleman, and I asked him, I said, "Where are you from?" And he says, "I'm from Israel." I said, "Oh, you're from Israel." And right then, I had so many questions I wanted to talk to him because they were still getting bombarded back then. This was maybe 15 years ago. They were still getting bombarded by rockets, right? And I wanted to talk to him, had the conversation with him, and he was real cool with me. And he didn't have to be. I mean, we just made that connection. My point is that just because you see people that control the movie theaters, control movies, control Hollywood, control the music industry, you know they're liberal. Did you know they're liberal? There are conservative Jewish people. Think about what I'm saying. And just giving another example, it's like, you know how the liberals, the left, all of the left, they say, oh, white people are this and white people are that. They're all racist. They're inherently racist. Then you have these woke companies, even Coke, saying we need to, work on not being racist. And it's the same thing how they try to demonize all black people and say, have all black people want people to believe that black people support the Democrat Party. I don't. It's the same thing with Jewish people. And even with that, even saying that, there's some people that are Palestinian that don't want to harm any Jewish people. They're conservative. There is a difference. But some people get so caught up on just one specific group of people and they have this hatred for them, and it's stupid. It's stupid. How can I sit there and hate a group of people just because they're all white liberals and these white liberals are terrible? They tell Will Johnson that he can't think for himself. White liberals tell Will Johnson that he can't do for himself. I need them in order to survive. But white people aren't like that, especially when I talk to conservatives. You understand my point? We've got to get beyond that hatred. It's just so crazy to me. We're all on the same stinking rock. Listen to this one, because this actually proves my point. This absolutely proves my point on what I am saying. Listen to this demonic dude here. Straight up. This is Dearborn, Michigan. Listen to this. Straight up demonic. And from what I can tell, he looks like a white guy to me. From this image. I mean, I'm guessing, that's what it looks like. Listen to this.
So don't let them get it twisted. This is not complicated. When you go to a Black Lives Matter rally, you see Palestinian flags. When you go to a white supremacy rally, you see Israeli flag.
Y'all hear this? Are you hearing this? What? You go to a white supremacist rally, you see Israeli flags? I mean, that's like the most idiotic, stupid thing ever. And okay, Black Lives Matter, I can see that because Black Lives Matter was supported. They were, how do you say it? They were sponsored. Black Lives Matter was sponsored by Hamas a few years back. They were sponsored when Black Lives Matter first started. They were sponsored by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. There's pictures of them being there.
And by the way, there are no white supremacist rallies.
Yeah, and there's no white supremacism.
There are
what they're talking about. They're talking about rallies that want to put America first and they support Israel. And that's what he's talking about.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? So he's basically saying America. And then, again, just like I was just describing, this dude is doing that exact same thing. Listen to him. It's a short clip.
So don't let them get it twisted. This is not complicated. When you go to a Black Lives Matter rally, you see Palestinian flags. When you go to a white supremacy rally, you see Israeli flags. This is not complicated. When Zionists march down the street, they say death to Arabs. When we march down the street, we say free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. This is not difficult, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, this is wild. And they're not saying death to Arabs. Where's the video at?
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Where's the video at? Where's the video? Where's the video?
And by the way, some of those things that were said at some of the Palestinian protests or support this weekend were pretty disgusting. They were even celebrating pictures and videos and
yeah, they were actually showing. I mean, you know what?
But I just want to tell people this. I support Israel because you can look it up. There's scripture after scripture where, just like in Joel 1:6, Joel 2:18, Joel 3:2, 3 times in this book, the land is referred to belonging to the Lord. Israel's going to be there to the very end.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the last battle, and the wings of an eagle stand with Israel in the last battle. So whatever happens between now and then, I don't know, but I believe that we're going to be okay. That we do need to be vigilant though here. I do believe you need to be aware of your surroundings. I do think that you need to be able to take care of yourself, right? Have escape plans, do whatever you need to do wherever you go, because we don't know. We've been so sheltered here in America, Will, that I think that's our fear. We don't know how to handle the situations that these people are dealing with every single day.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, our friend Dave Robbins, he literally said, he's over there right now, and he said it's literally changed him forever, right? He said we live in a bubble in America. We have no idea. And those people have more faith than we do because they're going through more. And they're surviving. We haven't even gone through what they're going through, and we have fear.
Yeah, just think about it. I was in the grocery store earlier today, and I'm just walking around, and I'm looking at all the people. They're just shopping. They're going through the produce aisle. And there's some people having conversations with one another, and it's just like everything is fine. It's like peace, no issues at all. But that's not the case in Israel. Every day they're like sitting on the edge of their seat. Is today going to be the day that they're going to do something really dramatic? And they did it this past weekend. And a lot of them are caught off guard. And another thing I was going to tell everybody, and this is extremely important. You can hear me now, believe me later on. What's to come? Right now, you have a lot of people that are saying what Israel is doing is completely wrong. They cannot defend themselves. And that trend is growing. It is growing exponentially. So Israel, all they did was protect themselves. And you know what? You've got to get rid of the riffraff. You have to. There's no choice. They have no choice now. But these people right now, they're coming after them. And the world is, I'm telling you, according to the scriptures, the world is going to turn on Israel. And the way I see it playing out is that Israel, this time, because Benjamin Netanyahu says that he is done. He's going all in. They're going to wipe it all out. What's going to end up happening, and I could be wrong, but what I believe is going to end up happening is that Israel is going to take it out, and then the world is going to say, Israel went too far. All of the horrific things that you've been hearing, what the Hamas was doing to the women and the children, you know who they're blaming that on? Hamas is doing it but they're blaming it on the Israelis. They're saying the Israeli soldiers are doing it after we all know it was Hamas. We know it was Hamas. And in the very beginning, when Hamas was doing it, they weren't even denying that they were doing it to women and children. They were not even hiding the fact that they were doing it. They've even put out a statement saying that they're going to start taking the lives of hostages. They put out the statement saying that. They put out the statement saying that they're going to take the lives of innocent people because of Israel, but then they turn around and then they blame Israel. They keep saying Israel's occupied that land. And then people put memes out there and saying, well, Israel became a state. You know, what year was, Shannon, can you look at it real quick and say what year did Israel become a state? Because I know the United Nations recognized Israel at one point. But a lot of people keep putting these maps out there showing 1917, when they show that it was Palestine. They kept saying that the region of the world, that land was Palestine. They kept saying it was Palestine. And let me be clear about something. It's not about territory for these people.
1948.
1948. And they said in 1917, they said it was Palestine. It wasn't Palestine. It's never been Palestine. And I can prove it. When Moses left Egypt to take the Israelis to the promised land, what year was that? What year was that? Think about it.
Before Jesus came.
Before Jesus came. Moses was leading the people out of Israel before Jesus came. What year was that? So they wandered the wilderness for 40 years. Okay, 40 years out of the whole scheme of things. That was well before 1917. That was well before 1500s.
It belonged to them before Palestine is basically what you're saying.
They were led out of Egypt to the promised land. So the Israelis have been there all that time. They've been there all that time. They just don't want the Israelis to be able to claim it. This was even before World War I and World War II, when Hitler was doing his deal. You understand what I'm telling you? So when they come out there and say, no, that was always Palestine, that's a lie. And before Moses led the people out of Egypt to the promised land, the location where Egypt is right now, it was complete desert. The Muslims didn't even want it. There was nothing growing. Do you hear what I'm telling you? Nothing was growing there. Nothing. I'm talking about when Moses took him out and took him to the promised land, nothing was growing.
Yeah, it
did
look like promised land.
Now today, it is the most prosperous nation on the planet. They have oil, they have resources, they have everything they need right there. How does that happen? That's only because of God. It's only because of God. And now they see all these natural resources and they see how they're thriving there. Now they want it. That's how that happened. And when people go out there and say, oh, they've always been, no, it hasn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Just like the United States of America wasn't always the United States of America.
Yeah. No matter the iniquities of Israel, God is always going to preserve that land. It's the land of the Messiah.
Yes.
It's where Jesus walked. It's where he died. And so it is very special to God. And that's why he calls it his land.
Yep. It's his promised land. Absolutely. Okay. And let me say, we're going to bounce out of here. I want to thank everyone for being on here with us today. You know, I saw a couple on Rumble here. It says, For Hope says, Israel credit Hamas. The fight, Russia, check out Rand Paul speech in Congress. He also says, Israel let this attack happen. Just like our government is allowing open borders. You know, that could very well be true. Because I actually thought about that too. Because, you know, they're calling this their 9/11. Because all the technology they have, they didn't see this coming. And they have one where the rockets just going off into Israel. Going into Israel.
Going through a lot of controversy and changes.
But you know what? Just like our government, we have criminals, corrupt criminals in our government. Who's to say that they don't? I believe that they do too. Look how corrupt Ukraine is.
Yeah,
Russia's no better.
Let's say thank you to some Facebook stars. We got Jennifer Marie, Kelly, Anne, Where's Mike, and Kim. So
awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for supporting us.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Hey, if you would, please, if you liked anything that I talked about or anything that I shared this evening, please, if you find it in the kindness of your heart, hit the share button. Hit the share button. Please share this video. God bless everybody. Good night.